Thank you for browsing page 121. Today we're going to take a look in the Player's Handbook at a Magic User spell and then Unearthed Arcana for a similar magic item. Today's spell is Shocking Grasp. It's a pretty solid first level spell. If you're doing a combat heavy game, it's a good one to start your Magic User with. It is an alteration spell. Level is 1. Range is touch. Duration 1 touch. Creature touched is area of effect. Verbal and somatic components. Casting time 1 segment. Saving throw none. When the Magic User casts this spell, he or she develops a powerful electrical charge which gives a jolt to the creature touched. The Shocking Grasp delivers from 1 to 8 hit points of damage. It's a die 8 plus 1 hit point per level of the Magic User. So at first level, you would go ahead and do 1 to 8 plus 1 damage. At second level, Magic User would discharge a shock equal to 3 to 10 points at 1 to 8 plus 2. While the Magic User must only come close enough to his or her opponent to lay a hand on the opponent's body or upon an electrical conductor which touches the opponent's body, a light touch from the opponent does not discharge the spell. So what the heck does that mean? Well, it means that if for some reason I decide I want to touch the guy I'm fighting is using a sword and I decide I want to touch the sword, I can potentially, and then the shock will travel through the sword and do the damage. Kind of interesting. More likely you're just going to touch the plate mail or anything like that. As for the touch itself, I don't count anything as far as metal armor is concerned. Metal or metal shield, I don't count either one because the Magic User can simply lay a hand on those. The only bonuses to dexterity I would give somebody being attacked by a Shocking Grasp would be dexterity, if any, leather, wooden shield, movement of some kind, so boots of speed, boots of strength and spring, and of course cloak or ring of protection. All of those would help you with your armor class against being touched, but generally I'm looking for armor class 10 and I'll work down from there. So this is still a pretty good spell. Even though Magic User's combat table is not great, it's still pretty good. 1 to 8 plus 1 points of damage at first level is pretty good, unless of course you throw a 1, which I've seen done. Best use of the spell I ever saw, monster was approaching where the party was. The party was hidden around a corner, first level. They were pretty torn up. The monster stopped, and I described the monster making some kind of watery sound just around the corner, and then they saw a stream flow around the corner, and my Magic User figured out that it was the monster relieving itself, so he cast the spell and put his hand in the pool of urine. I had it go ahead. The monster was standing partially in the pool. The shock went through it and shocked him. I realized possibly that it wasn't a good use of the spell. I loved it because I thought it was hysterical, and my player also stuck his hand in pee-pee. I thought it was a funny use. I gave the player full props for it, and this was back in 80 or 81 that this happened, and here I am recounting the story still. So Shocking Grasp is a pretty good spell. What this last part means, if you are using an electrical conductor to touch an opponent's body, like if you had a metal rod, you could go ahead and touch them with the rod and then zap the spell go through. But a touch from the opponent does not discharge the spell. In other words, if you hit the caster with the spell, it's not going to discharge the spell because the caster didn't have it in his hand. Now, I've had a few unique experiences with this. The one story I just recounted, I had another player who decided that he wanted to cast this in an Elven fighter Magic User. He would cast this wielding his sword, which had a metal hilt and was metal itself, and then his argument was he could strike with the sword and he would get the 1d8 plus 1 per level damage in addition to his sword damage. I thought it was kind of a cool idea. It is actually what the spell says, so I allowed it, but I cautioned everyone that wouldn't be a normal thing that I would allow all the time in the game. I just thought it was an interesting use of the spell. This spell can be pretty good up till 5th or 6th level Magic User. At 6th level Magic User, you're throwing a die 8 plus 6 for damage. Minimum of 7 points of damage. So that's not too bad. So if you're a little hungry for any offense with your Magic User, Shocking Grasp is a good one. The problem again is, of course, that you have to actually touch the target in order to get the spell to go off. There are no real notes in the DMG about this spell. We're going to go to Unearthed Arcana, and we're going to look at the other item, or the item involved with this, and that is a Ring of Shocking Grasp. I couldn't do a video on Shocking Grasp without showing the ring. So there we go, Ring of Shocking Grasp. This ordinary seeming ring will radiate only a faint, unidentifiable aura of magic when examined, but it contains a strong Dweomer when used to inflict damage upon an opponent. If the wearer attacks an enemy attempting to touch that individual with the hand upon which the ring is worn, a successful to hit roll indicates the touch has taken place, and between 7 to 14 points of damage, dice 8 plus 6, are delivered to the target creature. After 3 discharges of this nature, regardless the time elapsed between them, the ring will be inert for 1 turn. It is of note that when actually functioning, this ring causes a circular, charged extrusion to appear in the palm of the wearer's hand. And that is a reference to an old toy, gimmick, gag, whatever, called the Joy Buzzer. You would put it on your hand, you would shake hands with somebody, and the Joy Buzzer I had as a kid wound up, and when you clasped hands, it would depress a button, and then the Joy Buzzer would, and you'd get a little jolt into your hand. It wasn't electrical, it was just mechanical. The thing would turn in your hand. That's the kind I had as a kid, bought from Ryan's Trick Shop in Midlothian, Illinois. If anybody's from the Midlothian area, I'm sure they remember Ryan's Trick Shop. That place was around from the 60s through the 80s. But got a lot of goodies there, and this was one of them. So the Ring of Shocking Grasp is very similar to the spell Shocking Grasp, but I would not allow this one to discharge through a sword simply because it states there has to be an extrusion, or there is an extrusion that appears in the palm of the wearer's hand, and that I think would obstruct you using the sword properly, and I just don't allow it. So that's it. The Ring of Shocking Grasp is only worth 1,000 experience points to the player, so it's a really good one for a low-level game. If you have somebody starting out, maybe it's a magic user, and they need some help offensively, this is something that they can use. You're talking a die 8 plus 6 damage. It's pretty powerful at first level, and it's usable 3 times until it becomes inert for 1 turn only. So in theory, you could use this thing a lot. So I have given it out at low level, first level, second level, and it's been most appreciated. That's when you're going to see the most use out of it. Once you get up around 5th or 6th level magic user, you start dealing with fireball, lightning bolt, that kind of stuff. You're not going to see it used as much. But that's all I've got to say today on page 121 about Shocking Grasp and the Ring of Shocking Grasp. Let me know what you think, how you've used these in your campaign. Do you give it a higher? You could make a Ring of Shocking Grasp that would go 1 die 12 plus 12 points of damage and make it really worth your while, or something that works through a sword or something like that. There's a bunch of different things you can do. But these are just some base ideas. Let me know what you think. Please leave comments below, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Please tell your friends. Let's keep growing the channel. Take a look at the Patreon, see if you can help me out there. That's it for today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.